Real Madrid won their 15th UEFA Champions League as we reached the climax of the footballing season across some major leagues around the world, especially in Europe. The same Real Madrid were victors in Spain, where they won their 36th league title. In England, the story was not different, as Manchester City came out on top. In Germany, Bayern Munich were dethroned by a sensational Bayer Leverkusen, while in Italy, Inter Milan took over the reins from Napoli to lift the Scudetto, their 20th overall league title. In France, the story was, as has almost been always in the last couple of years, just missing out once in the last 7 years. So, here are my key moments of the 20th season. Welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. 𝐵𝐷𝐾 is my name. The story of my key moments of the season will start in Africa, where Ivory Coast came from a very worrying position, possibly missing out on advancing from the group stages to lifting the Africa Cup of Nations that was this year in Ivory Coast. They had to beat Nigeria by 2-1. Trust Ekong scoring for Nigeria, while Frank Kessie and Sebastian Haller did the wonders for the hosts to see them lift that Africa Cup of Nations. Very, very magical tournament that we did have in this calendar year. Still on African soil in Uganda, SC Villa won their first league title in 20 years, so they remain the record league winning champions for the Uganda Premier League with 17 titles. They did win this one. It took a win on the final day to seal that victory for the Jogos. Brilliant stuff there. Away from that and across to Europe, Real Madrid were Real Madrid, doing wonders that you sometimes expect of them, sometimes you don't see them coming, and yet they still happen anyway. In Spain, they did lift their 36th La Liga title in incredible style, just losing a single game all throughout the entire season. It was that year where Girona put a mark on the La Liga standings as they earned a qualification to the UEFA Champions League. In sensational football that they did play throughout the season. Yes, they had some poor moments during the course of the season, but overall, you cannot fault them for anything. They did just incredibly well. And away from that, of course, still in La Liga, we do have the La Liga champions claiming the UEFA Champions League title as Real Madrid beat up against Borussia Dortmund by 2-0. Dani Carvajal and Vinicius Jr., the heroes of the final, as Real Madrid won it for the 15th time. Of course, Dortmund had their chances, but they didn't utilize them. They missed out on winning their second UEFA Champions League title, having won their first back in 1997. Still on the European scene, Atalanta lifted the UEFA Europa League, having beaten Bayer Leverkusen by 3-0. Ademola Lookman scoring a hat-trick in that one as Gianpiero Gasperini's side condemned Bayer Leverkusen, their first defeat of the season. Incredible stuff, incredible things for Gianpiero Gasperini, who says he has been quoted by a good number of clubs, including some from the Premier League, but he says he is happy at Atlanta and will be staying there. Still speaking matters of the European scene, Olympiacos pipped Fiorentina to win the UEFA Europa Conference League. Their first title, their first European title. They are very incredible scenes. So, I did think those were key moments in the season. Atlanta winning the Europa League, Olympiacos winning the Conference League, and of course, Real Madrid lifting that UEFA Champions League title. Not that we didn't expect them to do it, but I did think they have been incredible this season, both in La Liga and on the European scene, because en route to the final, they had to knock out teams like Manchester City, who were the reigning champions at the time. When we cross over to Germany, Bayer Leverkusen were anything but flawless this season, because They dethroned Bayern Munich as they lifted the Bundesliga title, finishing the season unbeaten. Xabi Alonso doing wonders. And he didn't just stop at that, he went on to win the DFB Pokal trophy there. So, a double for Bayer Leverkusen is everything you would say qualifies for miraculous. But when you look at the journey to all their victories, to the victory of the Bundesliga and the DFB Pokal, then you've got to be appreciative of their hard work, of their tenacity, and more so of their manager, Xabi Alonso, the work he's done with that group of players. Very, very decent team, very competitive team, although that same team was outclassed, outmastered by none other than Gian Piero Gasperini. Who else would it have been? Probably the man that it was that managed to beat them. But nonetheless, it takes nothing away from all the glory for all the quality they've shown all season. So I did think that was another key moment in the world of football for the 2024-2025 season. Whereas in France, nothing was different. Luis Enrique did guide PSG to yet another league title as they won the French Ligue 1. The key moment for me in the season from out of France was Kylian Mbappe announcing that he will be leaving PSG at the end of the season. Whereas we all somehow expected it to come, PSG and those in the ranks of the club had hope that perhaps the French international would maybe accept to extend his stay at Paris Saint-Germain for another year. But looks like that is not going to be the case because he has since been announced as a new Real Madrid player who will be donning the jersey shirt number 9. It is reported that there was no contestation despite him having had to prefer a number 10, but that number 10 is currently being won by Luka Modric, who will be extending his stay at Real Madrid for yet another season. At what? 38 years old, and is still as high school as ever. So, Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid is a done deal. You can imagine a team that just won the La Liga in incredible style, losing just a single game. They won the UEFA Champions League. They are adding Kylian Mbappe to their attacking armor that already has Rodrigo Goes, Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham. I mean, Brahim Diaz in there. There's that young boy Adagula. Very, very sensational team that they do have. Reports do indicate that they do want to sign Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich, and they are likely to let go of, I think, Mendy, that left back, Mendy. Yes. So, Nacho could leave potentially. Of course, as you speak of Real Madrid, the other key moment at the club that you cannot ignore is Toni Kroos hanging the boots. Like Gerard Piqué had been when he left Barcelona, Toni Kroos too did not yet want to hang his boots as far as club football is concerned. He will be officially hanging his entire boots when he concludes the Euro 2024 that will be hosted in Germany, and that is slated to kick off on the 14th of this month. He would have loved to stay, but once Real Madrid showed that they were unwilling to hand him another contract extension by at least a year, he said, "That's it for me." But what a way to sign out as he lifted that UEFA Champions League title. And on a similar note, his counterpart from Borussia Dortmund in Marco Reus also called an end to his incredible career with Borussia Dortmund. During that time, he has played 2 UEFA Champions League finals, losing both of them, one against Real Madrid this year, while the other was back in 2013 when he lost to Bayern Munich by 2-1. But take nothing away from him because he does have 2 Bundesliga titles to his name. Very, very incredible player. He's been loyal to BVB, that's Borussia Dortmund. You've got to appreciate such moments. I thought those 2 players hanging their boots at the end of the season were other key moments that would not go unmentioned. But like I did say, in France, it was a routine. Anyways, away from France to Italy, Inter Milan dethroned Napoli from the crownship of the Italian Scudetto because Napoli weren't competitive this season. Not really for me. And it's no surprise that they had to switch managers midway the season. And it is and as we speak, they have recruited Antonio Conte as their new boss to take them into next season, hoping that they can once again lift the Scudetto at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. But the way Inter Milan dethroned them, they were very sensational all throughout the season. As they won their 20th Scudetto. I was really happy for Simone Inzaghi, having watched him during his time at Lazio. I thought he was always incredible. That Lazio team that had Sile Immobile in that team, you really appreciated him, the way he organized his team, the way his team played. And eventually, when Antonio Conte left Inter Milan, then they bring in Simone Inzaghi, and of course his first season it didn't go really well. Napoli lifted the Scudetto, but this season was his season, and he took that with open arms. They were just sensational, so they did lift the title. I thought that was a key moment, both for Inter Milan winning their 20th league title, as well as a key moment for Simone Inzaghi as a manager. Away from Italy, we go to England, where it was another routine Premier League triumph for Pep Guardiola's side in Manchester City, despite the fact that they needed a final day victory to beat up against West Ham to lift their 4th straight Premier League title. I thought the manner in which they win it may not make so much news because that was the 3rd time they've had to win a game on the final day to lift the Premier League title. But for the fact that they were winning it for the 4th straight time, that makes all the headlines. That makes them. That brings them to the key moments of the season. So clearly, that makes it a key moment for the 2023-2024 season. So again, everything has been incredible. They did put in the shift. Arsenal pushed them down to the wire. They needed to go unbeaten for about 22 games or so to be able to lift that league title. And then, despite losing the final of the FA Cup, you take nothing away from them for what they were able to do in the Premier League. And also, they did reach the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League and lost to a worthy opponent in Real Madrid. And then another key moment still in the 2023-2024 season in the world of football was perhaps Manchester United lifting that FA Cup. One would underrate that, that triumph, but given the kind of season that United did have all throughout, finishing 8th, you really did not very many people counted them as potent opponents that could really push Manchester City and actually outwit them. Erik ten Hag outsmarting Pep Guardiola as Manchester United lifted that FA Cup, trophy, their 13th for the Red Devils. Arsenal remaining the record champions with 14 of those. Then, the other key moment still of the 2023-2024 season was Jurgen Klopp announcing his departure from Liverpool. I think, was it around December when he announced that he will be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season, and since then he has been replaced by Arne Slot, the former Feyenoord manager, who will be the new manager for Liverpool come next season. I did think that was yet another key moment in the season. The other key moment in the same calendar year was, of course, Xavi being sacked by Barcelona. We all know that Xavi had announced that he will be leaving Barcelona prematurely before the end of his contract, and then somehow Barcelona managed to convince him to stay with the club, and he had agreed to it. But further talks towards the end of the season, it came out that they couldn't come to terms on maybe some nitty-gritties, and then Joan Laporta sacked him as Barcelona president, and has since been replaced by Hansi Flick, the former Bayern Munich manager, as their new boss there at Barcelona. He will be the head coach come next season. That's 2024-2025 season. So I thought that was another key moment from the world of football. The other key moment, perhaps, that has come at almost at the end of the season, or even at the end of the season, Chelsea sacking Mauricio Pochettino after he guided their side to finishing sixth on the Premier League table. Not that sixth was the best they could do, but still it came as a surprise to some of us that they had chosen to part ways with Mauricio Pochettino, and he has been since replaced by Enzo Maresca, the former Leicester City manager who guided them to their promotion back to the Premier League, having played in the Championship last season. But while at it, you cannot also fail to recognize the incredible work that Kieran McKenna has done with Ipswich Town. I thought that was Ipswich Town earning promotion to the Premier League was another key moment of the season. That's for the 2023-2024 season. Very, very incredible stuff. Very incredible stuff that is happened there at Ipswich Town. And of course, Southampton did beat Leeds in the playoff final to also earn their promotion to become the third team that comes to the Premier League. Then the other key moment for me in the season was Everton surviving relegation with games to spare, despite being docked 8 points overall in the Premier League for the breach of the profit and sustainability rules into separate incidences. Initially, they had been docked 10 points, but that decision was appealed and it was reduced to 6 points. But then they were later on slapped with another 2-point deduction following another, review or case, or when they looked at their finances, and it was found that they had breached the profit and sustainability rules. And in a similar vein, Leicester City have dark cloud looming over their heads as regards to the breach of profit and sustainability rules. Then, another key moment that cannot be ignored in the same season was Wolves writing to the Premier League requesting for the removal of the video assistant referee. That's VAR. Yes, I know they will be voting on that motion when the Premier League annual general meeting sits, and then they see what clubs sort of decide, because Wolves need 14 clubs to support that suggestion for it to pass. But from what we've had, clubs like Chelsea, Arsenal, and I think Manchester City, I'm not too sure, are some of those willing to oppose this motion. If you do ask me or press me, I'll say I do not think it will pass. I think VR will stay, but it may be reviewed in terms of when it is used and to what extent, because one too many times they have interfered in football. Of course, they've killed that, instant passion, instant goal celebration in the heat of the moment, that sometimes players score goals and they have to look over their shoulders, wondering whether they should run into celebration or something needs to be confirmed. Then sometimes the goal is cancelled, sometimes the goal is counted, but then the celebration in that moment after a goal has been confirmed is often not as incredible as a raw celebration as soon as that ball hits the back of the net. So there is a bit of that. Anyways, for me, those are my key moments of the 2023-2024 footballing season. Next up is the Euros 2024 that are going to be hosted in Germany. Do let me know what your thoughts are, what your key moments of the 2023-2024 season have been. Otherwise, that's it for me from here at Football Tribe, and I'll see you next time. Stay blessed and have a wonderful rest of the week.